Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we have another Sims 3 speed build. It's a little bit different though from the last ones that I have been doing. They have been, houses that have already been kind of made and I just kind of made changes to them. But this house is actually a house that I made in real life, and I actually thought it would be kind of fun to do it in Sims and decorate it. I did have to do a few changes, because Sims is not actually to scale and such, but overall it was pretty much the same. So it was really fun to actually see this plan that I did, come to life. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing also things a little bit differently with this video, just because I didn't want to be talking throughout the entire thing. Mostly just because I am sick right now, in case you were wondering why my voice sounds a little off today. So just to keep my voice, my throat from being really sore, I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit of a background about the house, kind of walk you through what's on each floor and the layout and such, and just kind of anything that kind of comes to mind as I'm watching myself build it. And then, of course, I'll just throw on some music and you guys can just enjoy the speed build. And of course, at the end, there are all the final photos so you can see everything. Yeah, so I just kind of right into it. This is a fairly large house. It has, even though actually it's really big, technically how I designed it is 3 bedrooms, but upstairs there actually are 4 bedrooms, but I did make one of the bedrooms a gym, but which could easily be made into another bedroom. So on the main floor, though, I'll start on the main floor. We have, when you come into the foyer, which is a pretty large foyer, it's very generous. To the left side is a dining room, and it's also a very nice sized dining room, and it actually has a nice walk-through butler's pantry that leads you into the kitchen, which is really great. Butler pantries are really great to have in a house, and where I actually placed it was right behind the stairs, so I already kind of had that dead space there anyways. And so I thought, you know what, I'll just throw in a butler's pantry. And a butler's pantry is somewhere where you put a wine fridge, have all you could be kind of like, it could basically sort of be like a bar essentially, but it also could be where you put all your appliances and such. When you do have a very large house and you have a very large butler's pantry, you'll usually see like a sink and such, and that's the idea of the butler's pantry kind of came back in the early 1900th century design, where you had your staff, the help that worked there, and they wouldn't, they had their kitchen down in the basement, and then they would have basically these butler pantries, these kind of like little makeshift kitchens on the main floor where they would do the finishing touches on the meals before, bringing them out to the owners of the house. So anyways, yeah, so that's really neat about this house. This house has a full mudroom and laundry room. I love to do like a mudroom slash laundry room combination, just because, mudrooms are really perfect, and they're basically for, essentially, as it sounds, for mud, basically. You don't want to walk into the front of your house where you have this beautiful foyer and stuff, and you got snowy boots, muddy boots, wherever the case may be. So mudrooms are perfect for that. And of course, if anything was dirty, you'd throw it right there in the laundry room. Right beside in that kind of area is also the powder room. So I usually, when I am trying to design the houses, you'll kind of like see like that repetition and pattern where I usually kind of clump those 3 kind of rooms together. I just do that because you never really want to have, a powder room just randomly off somewhere. When you're coming in from your house, whether that be from the garage or, even if it was the front door, the powder room, you want it to be sort of centrally placed, as well as when you're actually in your space, whether it's the dining room, the kitchen, the living room, wherever. You want it to be, easily accessed. You never want it on one side of the house where when you come in, or wherever the case may be, that you have to walk across your entire house to get it. So just kind of, it's just like a tip just to keep in mind when you are designing your own house, that to try to keep, the powder room sort of near, a laundry room, and kind of near all the doors, and as I said, centrally placed. Sorry, my throat. This room to the right of the door, if you were coming into the door, is a kind of den office. I did make it like an office in particular, but again, that could have been anything. It actually could have been like a formal living room. It could have even been a gym. It's totally up to you when you're actually designing it, but for the sake of this purpose, I made it an office, especially since we already had a dining room on the other side. I didn't want to have too much like furniture, so I just made it into an office. The next thing I want to point out with this is the first house that I've done where I've actually had a separate dining room and then a dinette, so there was lots of places to sit. But when I imagine, a family like this that's living here and it's a large home, more than likely they probably entertain a lot and they probably have like fancier dinners where they're going to want to have a full-size dining room. The second thing is there is no, again, this house doesn't have a separate living room or family room, so everything is kind of combined. So once again, I'm trying to make, you want to make sure that the space is elegant enough that it feels like a living room, that if you were having guests there to entertain, as I said, it looks sophisticated, but also comfortable and stylish and even, children friendly, so that when you're sitting there lounging and watching Netflix or whatever it may be on the TV, you're not sitting on some like very uncomfortable sofa. Or the worst feeling is when you have like really nice furniture in your living room and then you're almost afraid to sit on the furniture because you don't want to wreck it. So you have to try to find that balance. But lots of people, their houses, they don't have a separate family room and they don't have a separate living room, and it's usually combined into both. So that's why it's always like really important. I always say that the sofa should always be, the first thing that you purchase. It should be the comfiest piece. Things like your media console and your rug, you can kind of make them a little bit more elegant. Even the coffee table. It just depends, if you have children and how old they are. Obviously, if you have younger children and, they might be playing on that table, you probably don't want to get glass or anything with, like, harsh edges, just because probably they're going to be running around the house and, like, everything else. So, anyways, I will stop talking about the living room. I'll kind of just move into the speed build. So, right now, I'm kind of designing the kitchen. I wanted to make basically, like, a full-size pantry. Of course, because I don't actually have a pantry unit in my Sims, I actually had to use the cabinets to kind of combine it. So you have to kind of use your imagination just a little bit to kind of imagine how actually the house would look in real life if these were cabinets. The other thing is that I don't have a short cabinet that would go above a refrigerator cabinet. So I always kind of usually leave it blank. You can put a cabinet, and kind of glitch it over top, but sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it looks a little weird. I just left it for this purpose, but it's like my biggest pet peeve when I do kitchens in Sims is that I don't have a short cabinet to put them over the refrigerator because it just looks so odd that it's blank. In reality, that wouldn't be the case. Also, in reality, these cabinets would be I would have crown to ceiling. And I more than likely would probably have a light rail around the bottom of the cabinets. Light rails are basically, they're exactly what they sound. So when you put undermount lighting into your cabinets, you add in a light rail so that you actually don't see the light itself. And crown molding isn't a necessary thing, but it always just, I find, gives like a nice like finished look to the cabinetry when it is done. And another way too, if you have like really tall ceilings, is sometimes you'll see upper cabinets and they're usually like 30 inches high, and then you add like a smaller 12-inch cabinets, and then you have your crown to ceiling. So that's a way that you could achieve a crown to ceiling look if you have, say, like 9 feet tall walls. In The Sims, I'm pretty sure these are probably just like 8 feet tall. Sorry. Yeah, so again, as I said, I'm not really going to kind of walk you through everything that I'm doing because it's kind of self-explanatory. I'm just kind of throwing in the furniture as I go. What I will do is kind of talk a little bit about the second floor and just sort of a little bit of architectural details that I kind of threw in. So the first thing is, you can see that the stairs are kind of tucked to the side. So when you come up onto the second floor, I, once again, of course, did a 2-story foyer. So it's my favorite thing to do. I just think it makes the house look just, I don't even know what word to call it. I feel like when I walk into a foyer that has a 2-story ceiling, I just feel so grand, and it just, like, I'm like, wow, like, this house is so fancy. That's just what, like, the things I used to say to myself when I was a kid whenever I walked into, like, a friend's house who had it. So it's an architectural detail that I like to put in, but of course, if you were building this in Sims and you were doing it, maybe actually for, you wanted to put your Sims family into it and you needed an extra bedroom, that room could obviously just be a bedroom itself. I threw a gym upstairs as well, just because I thought, why not? I haven't really done a gym before, it'd be kind of fun. So I definitely, when I was doing the gym, I realized that I don't actually have a lot of content that I would put into a gym. So it's kind of very bare, but I still enjoyed it. The other thing that I did that was a little bit different this time was I did a nursery. And I've never really done nurseries either, and it's just because, again, I don't have a lot of content for nurseries, so I'm always using the same things over and over again, so I usually just don't do them, but I thought, you know what, I'm switching things up, like, this whole entire, like, video and speed build, so I thought, why not, I'll just do a nursery. The other thing that I switched up, which is another thing I've never done before, was when I did do the floor plan for the second floor, I actually had the room that is the nursery had an ensuite off of it. So because of the sake that it's a nursery and an infant doesn't actually need a bathroom, I decided that it would be fun to kind of make it a playroom. And of course, if I was doing this house in real life and my client said to me, we want to make this a nursery, we really want to make this a playroom and such, blah, 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 I would say to them, do you have any plans in the future of making the playroom into a bathroom, of course, when your child gets older? If they were to say yes to me, then when building this house, I would always, always say, do the rough-ins first. It's so much easier to do them first while the house is being built, rather than, having your entire house being built and then having a plumber coming in and putting in the rough-ins again. It's just going to cost you more money in the long run, so it just doesn't really make that much sense. So that could just kind of be like a tip to anybody who might actually be building a house. Yeah, so that has 3 bedrooms upstairs, and then it has also 3 baths. I did make the main bath that's off of this kind of pink room here have a door to the hallway, because you probably would use it if, you were coming out of the gym. And it's always just good to still have one main bath, even if everybody, has their own bath. Plus, again, because I did make the nursery and it's ensuite a playroom, when that child did start to get a little bit older, it would obviously have to go to the washroom, so it would use this bathroom as well. Other things you'll notice is that this, the master has a walk-in closet, and I don't usually do them just because I don't have the content to make it look like a realistic walk-in closet, but because I'm trying to make my plans look as much lifelike as real plans that you'd actually see, on a builder site or wherever, I threw it in, and I just always just kind of throw some type of, like, wardrobe or tall shelving cabinets. Same thing with, like, pantries. Like, pantries are a realistic thing that everybody would want in their kitchen, but I don't. I do have, like, shelving cabinets, and I could fill them with, food items, but I don't really have too many actual just, like, boxes of like cereal boxes and all those types of things, and plus it would just take me so long just to fill all those shelves, but I still like to throw them in because, again, I want to make my plans as realistic as possible. The other thing that I want to kind of point out right now, because the speed build right now is I'm fixing the pillows, is sort of it's kind of like, I guess you could say it's like a tip. So what you'll see is I'm kind of playing with the styles, and I'm changing the colors. And I think I settled on like a kind of like this kind of light salmon-y color. Then I kind of added in some different furniture pieces, and then decided that I was actually going to change the color again. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, because this is something that I actually do all the time, whether that be on Sims or it be in real life. I'm constantly coming up with a color palette, being in love with it, and then something happens where it might change, or even maybe it's just my own opinion, like where I see it kind of differently, and I'm like, you know what, I actually don't like that color. So when you're doing your own Sims house, it's okay to kind of, like, if you start realizing, you're not keeping the same things and you're constantly changing the colors, it's just, it's you being creative, and it's just a process. When, you're going to the store and you're picking out pillows and throw blankets and everything like that, and you take it home and it doesn't look the same color as it did in the store, and you get frustrated because you have to go all the way back. Just know that even the most experienced designers, they all go through this. And as I said, it's just, yeah, it's a learning process. Sometimes you don't always get it right the first time around. It's amazing when you do, but it doesn't always work out like that. So just know that you're not alone when you're doing this process. Right now I'm actually doing a little vanity. I thought that was you know, this bathroom was really large for a master ensuite. So I thought, if this was a realistic house and this was me, you know, that this was with my house, I would totally want, you know, a vanity built in. Not that I really probably would use it that much, but for like resale, for example, it would definitely add to the value of the home. This bathroom also has a water closet, and I always try to throw them in there in case you're like, what the heck is a water closet? It is basically a toilet that is in its own separate room. It's within the bathroom, but it has its own door and it's private. These are perfect in en-suites or family bathrooms, again, if you have the space to do it. Because then if you are using the facilities, someone else can still come into the main area and, you know, brush their teeth, do their hair, you know, if it's children, you know, and two are fighting at it. A lot of times, too, what you'll see is sometimes the toilet will be its own separate room, or what they'll do is they'll have especially, you see this a lot in Jack and Jill bathrooms. So Jack and Jill bathrooms, for anyone who doesn't know, is when you have 2 bedrooms and they each have access into that bathroom. So it's called a Jack and Jill, and in there, usually the vanities are on their own, and then there's another door that actually leads you into where the shower and the toilet would be. I usually try to do that the same thing when it is a Jack and Jill, and again, it's just that because 2 children are sharing it, if someone was showering, it doesn't mean that the other child now can't go in there to brush their teeth, brush their hair, do whatever they need to do in the bathroom, just because, you know, that other person is in the shower. I mean, when I grew up, we were always super close, so it really didn't matter. You would just walk in anyways. But, you know, maybe the Jack and Jill bathroom is, you know, with a female and a male, and, you know, they don't, you know, you understand. So, yeah, so I hope maybe you kind of learned a little bit there about bathrooms. Who knew there were so many different styles of bathrooms and rooms, right? Yeah, so anyways, I said I wasn't going to talk through this entire speed build, and I feel like I've pretty much done that, so I'm going to wrap things up here. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this speed build, and please give it a big thumbs up if you did, and any comments below if you have any questions, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more. I can't remember if I said this already, but I'm going to be posting videos on Wednesday, so please stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much for your love and support, and enjoy. Thank you.
You shot it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice, sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your